Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Nam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Patyachari Shakarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Ashta-Siddhi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasarihi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Panchatattva, 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 Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Gandharika Giridhari, 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 Gandharika Giridhari. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pavikacharya Astatas His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the Semi devotees. All glories to the Semi devotees. All glories to the Semi devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namaskar Krishna Prastham Bhutalesh Bhaktivedanta Swami Krishna. So Gandharika Girida is the name of our Radha Krishna deities at Koshnes. I guess maybe you all know, but because it is soon Jamastami, the 19th of August, and there will be a festival at Koshnes in their honor to celebrate them, their beautiful Radha Krishna deities. Is it possible that I can get my glass of water? Yeah. And I would need either, thank you, I would need a book Bhagavad Gita, or if somebody can give me their mobile.
I think they have the book.
Yeah, you have in English, because I have to speak English, yeah, right? Thank you.
du ha något bord framför eller?
I think I can manage. This is not so heavy, this guitar. I can hold it. Because some books are very big and heavy, but this is okay, I think. So... I might move. I don't know if I'm allowed to move this here because I want to start these auspicious prayers in the beginning of the Gita. This is prayers to our spiritual masters. Om Agyanti Marandasya Gananyana Shalakaya Shakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dagati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrairatam Sahagana Raghunantan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusuti Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it is in our tradition, spiritual tradition, it is very important to show respect. We show the respect to all those who have enlightened us with the spiritual knowledge, the Guru Parampara, a long line of spiritual masters who have kept this tradition ongoing and have been preaching and preserving it through the ages. And it's very important to show respect and honor them. And it is also very important to always pay obeisances to Krishna and his incarnations, because this is the way how we can purify ourselves and our heart in this life, to connect with the spiritual word and the spiritual personalities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, by becoming very humble and submissive and bow down to honor them. Yeah, is that too quiet? Okay, yeah, okay. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I have chosen a verse from chapter 18. It is the last chapter in the Gita, which is called Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. And it is verse 65. And I'm going to read the Sanskrit, and then the translation, and then the purport. Manmana bhava matbhakto matyagi mam namaskuru mam eva isyasi satyam te pratigyane priyostisme. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with 2 hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead, Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Vraha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. I repeat the verse. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastham Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Purshani Nirvishesha Sunyavad Paskata Dushatani. So, here Krishna is very personal, speaking to us. He is speaking to Arjuna, but Sri Prabhupada has explained, not in this purport, but in other purports, that we are in the same position as Arjuna. If we act as Krishna's friend, that means not as his enemy, if we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will have a relationship, we can have a relationship to him as a friend. So, and because he, actually it is sometimes a little mystical. Prabhupada has explained that it can be a little confusing sometimes. This has happened to me when people first come in contact with the Gita and the philosophy of Krishna, that some people ask, why is this, one always has the kind of concept that God should be peaceful. Huh? Why is he on a battlefield? Why this whole scene? Like normally war is nothing that we like, isn't it? I mean, it is, wars are going on even now, it's always going on in the world. But then with God, one is thinking God should not be like, why he put this whole situation. But God is acting in his own sweet and personal way. And the scene of Kurukshetra, the whole scene is that there are 2 parties having a fight about a kingdom, the supremacy of a kingdom, and those who actually have the right to get the kingdom are stopped by some demoniac relatives, especially one, Duryodhana, who is very greedy and very envious and wants to stop his relatives who have the right claim for the throne, and they are pious and they are known as great devotees of Krishna, and they are those who should have the throne. And Krishna is a friend of Arjuna and his brothers who actually have the right to rule that kingdom, but it doesn't work. One cannot negotiate with Duryodhana. He is fixed on power and prestige and like he wants it. So he's figuring out different ways to get rid of them. So, and this is the whole scenery. So it ends with that Krishna, one last time, he tries to negotiate with this Duryodhana. He goes to him and says, "This is the last time I'm asking now. We don't want this war. Who wants war?" Krishna actually, he doesn't want war, but because they could not make it up in a peaceful way, because if you are very humble and very intelligent and very pious and think of the welfare of the people, you try to avoid war, and you try to, just like when we fight sometimes. It's not so nice when we have a big fight going on. We try to cool down and say, okay, can we negotiate? If you do like this, I do like this, we can solve everything peacefully. So Krishna suggested they can get some part of the kingdom, or you can share the kingdom, something can come up so that everybody is satisfied, because they are all Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are those who have to maintain themselves by ruling over people and land. Kshatriyas is like warriors, but also administrators. So they are good in protecting people, and they can protect whole countries. And this is their profession, so they need a situation like that, because they are brought up like that and trained like that. But it didn't happen in this case, so it came to this. This Duryodhana would not accept, so then they ended up at this great. It still exists in India. One can go and visit it, Kurukshetra. Like you who come from India, it's like a big old. Alexis has always been a sacred place in different ways. And it is there 5,000 years ago this battle actually took place. And the Bhagavad Gita has it's just spoken in about 1 hour, this talk between Krishna and Arjuna. And in this 1 hour, Krishna is explaining the whole philosophy and knowledge about himself, the world, the whole world, and how to act, and what is the purpose of life, how to go back to the spiritual world. Everything is included in the Bhagavad Gita. If you go through all the chapters, all the questions about why we live and how we can get our soul back to our original home in the spiritual world, everything is revealed by Krishna in this one talk, which is about an hour. So, and they go between the two in the middle of the battlefield, just before the fight begins. And everybody sees from both sides that there is Krishna, and he is the charioteer of Arjuna. So Krishna is not himself fighting. So he is driving the chariot of this great archer Arjuna, who is like famous for being the greatest archer ever. Like he could shoot arrows and kill like whole armies. Like he was super. He was a very special, not a normal human being. He was very special. So yeah, and then I just wanted to give a little background, because we are here in Malmö, and I want to thank you for inviting me today, and it's Prabhu and his wife who are hosting us. I'm so happy to see that you help each other to carry on the preaching here, and that you have the Sangha, the devotees can come together and have prasadam and kirtan and all this. So this is very wonderful, because I have a special connection to this part of Sweden, southern Sweden. My family immigrated here from northern Germany in the middle of the 60s, 1965. And then later when I was a young lady in my youth, I came across Krishna consciousness here. I had my first meetings with devotees here. There was no temple, no center, no congregation. Just some friends of mine who got initiated by Prabhupada in the middle of the 70s. So I was on the walking street here in Malmö, and I got one book of a brahmachari who looked very funny. That was my very first encounter. And he looked a little funny because he had different kind of socks. They used to tell this was happening very much in the beginning in ISKCON. They lived all, big collectives, many brahmacharis, and they could not figure out with the laundry. So they ended up with one sock of each kind. So when the brahmacharis went out preaching, they looked a little funny in their clothes, you know. That was like very austere brahmachari life. But he was so ecstatic. He was emanating such a otherworldly happiness and joy, and he could not speak properly Swedish. He was from Germany, and sometimes they traveled and helped each other in the different countries to preach the mission of spreading the books. That was Prabhupada's special order and special pleasure, and it was the order that he got from his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta to spread the knowledge of the Gita all over the Western world. So this young brahmachari, he was just standing there with a big smile, transcendent smile. He was stretching out his hand, and he put this book in front of my nose. And I just saw his face. I had no idea what the book was about. But I I thought, he's so special, the book looks special. It was a small book, Krishna Krishna Al-Glädjeskälla, Krishna the source of all happiness. I don't know what the English translation is. It was a very small book, so that was my first encounter. And then some friends visited me who had been initiated, and they invited me for my first prasadam, gave me chant beads, and gave me Prabhupada's Gita. I had some other Gita before, because since I was 9 years, I had a very strong interest in religion. And the first religion I came in contact with, of course, being born in our countries, was Christianity. But I was never satisfied with Christianity. There was always something which was not enough knowledge. And for some reason, already as a child, that was my big interest, to find out who is God. So I remember one time I was laying down in front of an altar in an empty church here in Malmö. It was an intact church, but nobody was there in the middle of the day. And then I thought, I had enough of it. I want to have some real knowledge about God. I can't find anywhere. I will lay down here now. Normally the Christians don't lay down in their church. I don't know why I got this inspiration. I paid some kind of event on my knees, and I was praying to God, please give me some knowledge about yourself. I can't find it in this Bible. I must be somewhere. And I sent a heartfelt prayer, because this, according to my needs and my mind, it was the most important thing to find out. Why do I live, and what do I do with this life, and who is God, and how can I get in contact with God? And I was not satisfied. I couldn't get it from the Christian church. And soon after that, then I really met some these fired up devotees who had been initiated, and they convinced me that you should go this path. So then I happened to move to Stockholm for some educational purpose. I went to do some studies there, and then I came to our Koshnes temple, which was just opened in the beginning of, it was opened 77, and I moved in there at the beginning of 72. So, and later on, I was a few years brahmacharini and doing full-time service for ISKCON, and mostly I was engaged in preaching, because they thought that this would be my nature somehow, and I was out distributing books or preaching at preaching centers in Sweden, different centers. And then when I married after some years, I married a Prabhupada disciple, and we together went to Malmö to open the first preaching center here. Was it 1983 or 4? We were preaching. We were the only initiated devotees here then in southern Sweden. So we were doing school programs, and Mohini Shakti came and helped us. We had centers at different places. So Mohini Shakti and me, we have been friends since 1986. So she used to help us with our programs and centers. Yeah, so this is how I have a special heart for Malmö. And I'm really happy to see that preaching is going on here and the devotees come together, because this is one of the most important aspects of spiritual life, which is the instruction of our spiritual masters, that we should associate with devotees. The association of devotees is extremely important to progress in spiritual life, because it gives us strength, it gives us inspiration, and Krishna is very pleased when we serve each other, we serve the devotees. This is a very important aspect of our spiritual life. Sharing prasadam, sharing gifts, sharing our realizations, and inspiring each other, helping each other to do service. And our whole movement is depending on, if we want to keep up a preaching movement or a spiritual congregation or a temple, whatever, if you want to keep this up, then there has to be loving exchanges between the devotees. There has to be this attitude of that we take care of each other, we take care of ourselves, and body, mind and soul, not just the purely highest spiritual activities, but also we can do simple service for each other. If somebody's sick, we help each other. If somebody has some big crisis, we should care for each other. And we should have a genuine love and friendship among each other. Maybe we cannot have the same relationship to everybody because we are very individual. We are very like every spirit soul. I find that I have been, as a teacher, I've been working with children, and I found one of the most fascinating and what always fascinated me when I took care of the children was that every child is so unique. It's just incredible. There are not two spirit souls who are the same. We express each other different. We can come from the same family, from the same mother, and even be twins. I've seen twins who are different, even though they are born at the same time. I mean, it's fascinating how Krishna can create such a variety, that he has so many living entities to relate to, and we cannot imitate that. We have some power of some of Krishna's qualities, but not in full. So Krishna, he can relate to all of us, and he has created all of us different. And it is also very important that we can, we give each other the space and possibility to express ourselves according to our nature. Prabhupada, I'm reading a book right now, which is very interesting. It is Prabhupada and his daughters. It is about all of Prabhupada's female disciples that could be found in the world. They were invited to write something about their meeting Prabhupada, about their experiences with Prabhupada. And it's wonderful to read it, because one thing that they always put forward is that Prabhupada was so personal, with every person different, and he would always inspire that everybody should be happy with what they were doing. That means they should be free to unfold their nature according to what they like to do and were able to do, and it should be done with pleasure. There is also a verse in the Gita that says that this Bhakti Yoga should be done in a joyful mood. It is not we force each other, you know, like, you must do this, you must do that. One can do things out of duty for a certain time. But when we really flourish in our personal nature and our life is when we do something which we like to do and which we have a natural talent for doing. This is like how it is. So, and this is very important. So, and this can only be realized if we are having a very nice and if we develop very nice relationships with each other. So we can cooperate, and Prabhupada wanted us to cooperate. Otherwise, a Vaishnava movement cannot exist in the long run. It has to be like, if we want to keep up our Sangha and our temples or whatever we have, whatever possibility we have to practice Krishna consciousness together, we have to kind of work on our relationships. And sometimes this is not easy, just like the relationship to Krishna. It is, in one way, it can be very simple and easy, but there are certain austerities also. To always keep the regulative principles can be an austerity. To keep up programs like this can be an austerity. You have to prepare things, you have to do things, even if sometimes we don't feel like it, but we want to serve the devotees, we want to serve Krishna, so we have to sometimes do things but that we maybe don't like so much, but we will get such a reward, and Krishna will never forget. Because sometimes we forget that Krishna is present, and he can, in a mystical way, he can see and he knows everything about what we are doing. So, and he is not ungrateful. So whatever service we do, like it is expressed also in this verse, that if we try to surrender to Him to the best of our ability, we will go back to the spiritual world. And sometimes it might seem to so far away from us. I mean, if you sit stuck in this material body with all the problems and all this strange material world around us, with all the nasty things going on, the wars and crisis here, crisis there, nature ruined, and some strange leaders in the world starting some strange wars here and there, and like this, so much disgusting things. And even our normal life, like it is, we are always living under the threat of death. From we are born, I mean, maybe not when we are a small baby, but after some years, I know I have been taking care of children. They were like 5 years old, preschool children. They started very serious discussion about death. They said, yeah, grandmother has died. Where is she? They asked me. I said, I can't say exactly, but I'm sure her soul has gone somewhere. But they started thinking, I mean, death is a reality, and it is not a very happy reality, because for the spirit soul, death is a very strange thing, because death actually doesn't exist for the spirit soul. But because we don't know any other existence in this body than in this body for now. So and then comes actually one aspect, which is, or one fundamental principle which is very important for the progress in spiritual life and the relationship to Krishna, is faith. Everything starts from faith. If we don't have faith, if we don't develop faith, it will be difficult to progress, because Prabhupada used to say we should not accept blindly, we should accept with our intelligence, but at the same time we also have to develop faith in Krishna. Like it says in this verse, if Krishna says He is going to take us back, we should have some faith in that. And we should joyfully wait for that. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm getting older and older, so I'm thinking that I'm not waiting for the end of my life, I'm waiting for the continuation, and by Krishna's mercy, a much more wonderful life at another place with Krishna. I mean, it is, right now it seems so unreal and maybe practically sometimes impossible. I think, I'm not pure enough to be with Krishna or something, but Krishna, at the same time, He makes it very simple. Just follow certain principles. I never found the four regulative principles so very difficult. I mean, I was giving up meat eating even before I came to the movement. I was brought up with it. I knew nothing else. My mother, this is what, when I was born that time, vegetarianism was not, it was existing here in the West, but not so common as it is now. And there was but I always figured it was very cruel to kill animals. So I became, from my own desire, a vegetarian. And then when I came to the movement, it was not a big deal. And alcohol, which is a horrible substance, stinking substances, and then smoking, all these things, what is the point? And also illicit sex, which is the cause of a lot of havoc in the society. It is degrading for all the girls, and it is ruining the family life. It's like so many crazy things. So this is not, it is maybe certain austerity, but it is very easy to give it up if you get a higher taste. And this higher taste comes when we turn to Krishna and His service. Therefore, all these gatherings and the upkeeping of programs and the activities and temple worship and everything that Prabhupada has started his ISKCON with is very important. I think we get a little bit too little air in here, but it may be difficult to get more air. Do we dare to open the windows more? Or?
Yeah, we can open.
Is that possible? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just felt like it is quite maybe some heat coming from the roof or something. It's a little, yeah. Because we are not noisy now. Maybe when the kirtan is going on, you don't want to expose the neighborhood. So I don't know how neighbors react. Okay, thank you. Are your neighbors annoyed by the kirtan?
No.
They don't have neighbor.
No, sorry.
Nobody is staying there.
They don't. No, they don't react. That's good. Okay. So, och I have, Mohini, har du kollat tiden? Jag bara tänkte att hur länge har jag hållit på? Jag vill inte...
Bara 4 nu.
Ja, när började jag? Jag glömde att kolla klockan.
Det har kanske hållit på en halvtimme.
Ja, så det är bara en liten stund till. Okej, då ska jag... För att jag har missat att kolla. Okay, I want to quote one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, and chapter 14 and verse 8. This is Lord Brahma speaking to Lord Krishna. My dear Lord, any person who is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering the resultant reactions of his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible to become liberated, for it has become his rightful claim. And this is actually a very encouraging verse to meditate on. That, like Prabhupada is explaining in the purport to this verse, how it says it is his rightful claim. It is just like when a son has a father that he can inherit something from, because he is the legitimate, what is this English word? Like he is the real child of the father, so he has the right, the child has the right to inherit from the father. So we have the right to come back to the spiritual world. We maybe don't think like that. Sometimes I feel, like I say, I feel disqualified, and how am I so pure? But actually Krishna is promising this. So if we just, and we cannot avoid the suffering, because sometimes we think that, oh, if I practice Krishna consciousness, or follow all the rules and regulations, the principles of not eating meat, not drinking alcohol, this and that, and start chanting all this, then I should be freed, or if I get initiated, then I should be freed from all the sufferings. But it is not always the fact. So partly because our karma will still go on a little bit for some time, and then there's another factor that used to say that it is a funny word, but it's called Krishna karma. That means that Krishna is taking over the life of a devotee if one surrenders. And then he arranges sometimes that we go through some suffering which is not really karma, not a reaction on sinful activities that we have done before, but actually some kind of test or some kind of challenge to strengthen our devotional life. Because we have to cut our attachment to material activities and this material body in order to get the real motivation and strength and this attachment to the spiritual world. And that comes from when you are really finished with this material body and all material enjoyment. And so therefore sometimes Krishna arranges such situations in the life of the devotee. And then one should take that as Krishna's, there is one saying that devotees use to that word, tough mercy. There is the mild and friendly mercy of Krishna, but sometimes he gives us some tough mercy. It's just, and it is good for us, because sometimes we need to wake up a little. Sometimes you think, oh, it can be quite cozy in this world, we should stay here. It doesn't matter if I have some more lives here. But actually, if we really want to come back to the spiritual world, or come to a pure Krishna consciousness and live a life dedicated to Krishna, even in this world, in our next life, then we need to cut our material ties. Otherwise, and that can go very deep, otherwise that will not happen. And actually, I want to wind up what I have been speaking about now, and I want to give some space also for questions or comments or whatever you want to share something in this theme. And I want to just quote one beautiful prayer that is one of my favorites, it is Prahlad Maharaj, who was such a great, sweet devotee of the Lord, who was actually just a child, harassed by his demoniac father, but who wanted to even kill him, who was envious of God, Vishnu, Krishna. So, and he could not stand that his little son, that little boy, was worshipping Krishna. So he appeared as Nishingadev, which is one of Krishna's 10 incarnations, half man and half lion, with a lion head. So, and he is actually killing the demoniac father of that boy. But that little Prahlad, he became later Prahlad Maharaj, like a great king, and he was a wonderful ruler. So he wished everybody well, and he has said a prayer like this: may there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga, for by accepting devotional service they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore let us all engage in the service of the supreme transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna, and always remain in thoughts of him. So this always thinking of Krishna and never forgetting him is one of the main principles. And all these devotional activities that we do, they are helping us to remember Krishna. They are all like, because then if we spend a whole life in meditating on Krishna, we will also meditate on him at the time of our death, which is a crucial time, because whatever we wish at the time of death, what destination we want, that will manifest. This is how it works. Like we are actually creating our next life in that way. That our state of consciousness at the time of death will bring us to the soul's next destination. So therefore that is very important. And Prabhupada explains it is sometimes difficult because we have so many practical duties in this world, and at the same time think of Krishna. But Prabhupada said it is, used to say that it is something similar like when, let's say there is a married couple and the lady has a secret lover. This is nothing we should act on, but it's just an example. And then she's serving the husband very nicely, just that he doesn't suspect that she has some secret love with somebody. So we can do our worldly duties with a good consciousness and with a, like, what do you say, like, we should do them properly and dissatisfy Krishna. And at the same time, we can meditate on Krishna all the time and long back to him and have our love for him, like develop that. So we can embrace this material world also as the mercy of Krishna, but we should always have Krishna in our inner meditation, and that we can do whatever duties we perform, whatever work we have. If one is a mother, one sees the children as part and parcel of Krishna. I used to meditate like that when I took care of children. I always thought that they are all part and parcel of Krishna and I'm serving them. It was very satisfying. So I will open up now for some, if you have any comment or question or some own realizations and thoughts to share, please feel free. Don't be shy, just... Yeah.
I have a question. In the verse that we read, it said that we need to meditate on the original form of Krishna.
Yeah.
Original one. But also we have Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and for especially beginner devotees, it's recommended to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he is very merciful. He just accepts offenses. Could you maybe clarify which form of Krishna is preferable for devotee?
This is not an easy question to answer, because you are right that we are followers of that Vaishnava line from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also considered incarnation of Krishna in a very special form. But it is for this special age. But let's say on Goloka, Vrindavan, like this form of Krishna is so attractive, and It depends on where you want to go. If you are to my understanding, I can only say what I have understood and what I have realized. Because I'm also very attached to Lord Chaitanya. I'm worshipping at Almvik. We have the Panchatattva, so there is Lord Chaitanya. This is my Ishta-Devi. I'm worshipping there since many years, Lord Chaitanya. And when I go to Mayapur, I always sit for hours and chant in front of Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. There is a deity where Lord Chaitanya as a child is laying on his mother's lap. And I used to sit there and chant and meditate on Lord Chaitanya. But at the same time, Krishna is kind of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is so, Krishna, the meaning of the word Krishna, one of the translations from Sanskrit is the all-attractive. So he is just super, super attractive. So I think one can manage to worship both. You know, like we have our Radha Krishna deities at Koshnes, and we have on Almvik the Panchatattva. We can worship both, but if there is an instruction like here that we should fix our mind, Prabhupada also said, it comes from our spiritual master, that fix your mind on Krishna, always remember him, don't forget him. Then we should follow that, but that doesn't mean that we can't worship and develop love for Lord Chaitanya. I think, because this is sometimes, spiritual truth is also somewhat inconceivable for our little human mind. Like even it's inconceivable how Krishna can appear in so many forms and incarnations. And I mean, in the Bible he appears in the bush. Why not? I mean, we don't know. I don't say that, Prabhupada never said that our other spiritual scriptures are wrong. Krishna can appear in any form he wants. So we can only try to grasp. And sometimes we can grasp fully, and sometimes things are sometimes there are contradiction in the scriptures. At one place scripture says like that, another place it's something else, and both can be true. So it's not easy to always figure out. So we can, and the only answer I can think of that you can worship both, you can meditate on both. But I think but as far as I have heard and understood, the main instruction is Krishna in his two-armed blue form. This is the original personality of Godhead, and we worship him in this our Vaishnava Sampradaya. And we still worship Lord Chaitanya too. Like in India sometimes, as I remember, is it even at the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, there is both Radha Krishna and Lord Chaitanya on the altar simultaneously. So you give your heart to two. But we should not start meditating a mixture of all kind of incarnations. I don't know. We also in our temple in London we have Sitaram, and I think with Sitaram is like Ramachandra this wonderful incarnation of Krishna. But I try to focus my mind very much on Krishna. This is my personal policy. Yeah.
I have this question from my beginning in Krishna consciousness. I have not more time. And always I find out all the devotees, they meditate in the form. And for me, how it was my meditation before, it was like I pray to the God, I surrender to the God, everything it is the God, and not with the form. And when I start to chant in Hare Krishna mantra, it's much more easy for the mind to focus in the form, and I feel wonderful, and it's a lot of things happen there where I do. At the same time, my question is always we need to chant, to meditate in the form, or can we just we know the God, it exists everywhere in everything, and just be with the God and chant in Hare Krishna mantra without having in the mind the form, or we are supposed to have it? Like some people, they think it is in the heart too.
The thing is that we are all part and parcels of Krishna.
Yeah.
And this is the whole mystical thing, which is difficult to grasp. Like if I look at you, I look at the part and parcel of Krishna. Your spirit soul originates in Krishna. So, and everything here, the wood, the sky, the electricity, everything, all the energies originate from Krishna. So there's nothing actually separated from Krishna and his energies. So it is like a very delicate and sometimes a little confusing topic, right? That all that exists is originating from Krishna. All the energies, all the souls, all the incarnations, all like, you know. But at the same time, our purpose is somehow to reconnect and establish again our relationship that we have lost when we left, when our souls, because the process is like, explained like this in our scriptures, in our tradition, that for some reason we were in the spiritual world developing a desire to enjoy, separate from Krishna. And Krishna fulfills all our desires. So we are in the realm of the material world. The material world means soul and body is separate. In the spiritual world, soul and body is one. But by some mystical process and by Krishna giving us the free will, like, you know, love is never joyful if you force it. Like if I put a pistol on your back and say you have to love me, it will not be very successful. I mean, love has to develop organically, like real, by a true relationship that develops naturally into love. So therefore, those who don't want to search for God and don't want to connect with God in this life, they are free to do it. They can live an okay life in this world without connecting. But yeah, and with regarding the like what you're speaking about would be like, there is also this impersonal aspect of God, which is there, like which is like in Buddhism, for example, the formless. Or there's also what the yogis do. They meditate on Krishna's aspect in the heart, the Vishnu form in the heart. Everything is there. So it is not, you know, I mean, for example, even Prabhupada can say some extreme example, you know, what we find a little funny maybe. Sometimes when Prabhupada started his preaching in New York, a small storefront, and it was not a very first-class district with rich and wealthy and super materially seen, super cultured people, but it was many were bums, they were drunkards, and you know, like this kind of, because it was a cheaper storefront, what his disciples could afford to finance for him, the first preaching center. And then sometimes there came persons, you know, who were attached to alcohol, but they were attracted to hearing the mantra, and they were attracted to... Prabhupada was an overwhelming personality. And he had mercy to everybody. And he was kind of, so some drunkard came and he was kind of still attached to his wine and like this, and he had to talk to Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada said, well, if you think of Krishna, that Krishna is the taste in the wine that you drink, you will make progress. you will remember Krishna. That will be good. So he was extremely magnanimous. He had to be, because he preached to so much. I mean, New York, you know, it is a big, famous city, but it is also lots of bad things going on there. I mean, there's a lot of fallen people, so to say, at that time especially, but even now it is famous for, I mean, everything is going on, drugs, alcohol, illicit sex, all the sinful activities, meat eating. So he had to be so flexible and tolerant. And is super compassion. Prabhupada was so compassionate. Otherwise he would not have made it. I'm thinking like, I think I'm at the age now, I turn 70 next month. So I think when Prabhupada was 69 when he went to America, yeah. I mean, for me it was an endeavor to come to Malmö even from Stockholm, you know. If I think I should walk on a boat with just a few rupees and some Bhagavatam that I have translated and, you know, get a heart attack on the way, like Prabhupada did when he came to the West. He got a free passage on a cargo ship from Calcutta to Boston, yeah, to America. So that was out of compassion, definitely not for any other reason, because he had a nice situation in Vrindavan, living at a nice temple and being protected spiritually. And they even told him, the owner of that steamship that took Prabhupada to the West, to America, She even told him, I don't want to let you go. What will you do there? These people will not understand anything. They're fallen Western people, you know, like it's so gross, everything. You will have nothing to eat. They all eat meat. And she was preaching, you will get sick. And all arguments. And Prabhupada was very consistent. He was all the time walking outside her office again, sitting there again. I want to go to America. So she let him go. So he came out of this pure compassion that he was having deep realizations. What is our life about? When we are caught up in this life, we think, oh, I live for my family, I live for my profession, my income, I have all my things, you know, I'm a woman, I'm not a woman, I'm not a teacher. All these designations, they all disappear when we have to. I've seen my husband dying. He died 16 years ago in cancer. So he prepared for death. He lost all his designations. And it was a good lesson for me. It was very hard to lose my husband, but it was a good lesson for me because I could see he survived cancer 3 years, and then he left his body in our home while Prabhupada was chanting on a CD, and I sprinkled Ganges water on him, put tulsi leaf in his mouth. This is our tradition, and I took his ashes to the Ganges in Mayapur, where they used to put the ashes of departed souls in the holy rivers. So, because then you really have to leave everything behind. He was not my husband anymore. He was not, he was Prabhupada disciple, but all these designations is kind of, they disappear. You're not a woman, not a man. Body is burned, dig down, or whatever happens with our bodies when we leave. So that we have to be very much aware of, that this is the situation. But the mercy is there for you. Whatever way you are able to connect to Krishna, you find your own way, because we are all very individual, very personal, and we cannot push each other to Krishna consciousness. Cannot be pushed and forced by anybody. It has to come from your heart. So you start with whatever you feel okay with, and then you hear the instructions, and then you gradually take up whatever feels natural and good for you. This is the natural process of making spiritual advancement and come in contact with Krishna.
Thank you. Because this I do, I did myself free, and where comes and go is
Yes.
okay too. Just accept.
Don't force yourself into some, it has to be a natural and gradual process. Because if you force something, do something artificially, it will not last. And it will not make you happy and balanced. And Krishna, he wants you to be balanced and happy, and he wants really your love. Not some artificial oppressed, that you must do this. This is not his purpose of reconnecting with us. So, Hare Krishna. Anything else? Everybody is okay? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
that you can, or you're mridangam. Oh yes, a mridangam.
Kipa Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Arati Kesoka Kipa Jaya Gora Chande Arati Kesoka Jana Vitaka Janga Manoloka Jana Vitaka Jaga Manoloka Jana Vitaka Jaga Manoloka Ashta-Siddhi
I can help her.
You use the bubble.
Mojini, kan du snälla ta mitt vattenglas?
Ja, bara hoppa.
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapade. så du kan sitta vid bordet sen.
Ah, okay.
Jag kommer inte sitta framför fläkten. Ja, man är väldigt kvavt. Jag förstår det.
Och så där är det speciellt, där liksom så en hörna liksom.
Det är jättevarmt.
Ja. En varm kväll.
Hare Krishna, now it is the end of the program and we will have the prasadam. We will meet next week. Thank you.
Ja, men det går.